David Pollack, ESPN college game day analyst. And game day is in Fort Worth, Texas. It's number 11, Oregon, and number 16, Auburn. Ducks and Tigers will play ABC Saturday Night Football. David, good morning. Thanks for joining us. What stood out to you last night with Clemson and Georgia Tech?
Well, I saw the first I've ever seen, Dan, and I don't know if you've ever seen it or not, but I saw the Georgia Tech football players actually lifting weights on the sidelines in pregame warmups.
Isn't it too late for that? Isn't it too late for that, David? Or was it a party pump?
I don't know if it was a look good in my uniform pump or not, but it didn't work. We know that. Listen, I think Clemson is who we thought they were. That's good news. Now, Trevor Lawrence looks somewhat human, I would say, but ETN and the defense looks like they're going to be ready to roll. The atmosphere was crazy. So, listen, it's never going to be – the first week are always kind of sloppy. And listen, Miami, Florida, good Lord, we saw that a week ago. That was super sloppy. And then last night, Clemson wasn't at its best, but you can tell it's going to be fun to watch. And I can't wait till Auburn, Oregon. I think we're going to learn a lot about SEC, Pac-12, and get the season started. So everybody's feeling – Utah last night looked sluggish a little bit versus BYU. And so, I mean, you feel those bumps out in the beginning of the season, and you get ready to roll and see who's a really great team.
What advice would you give Trevor Lawrence this year?
I would try to tell him that I don't listen to everything and I don't read everything and I don't look at Twitter and I don't look at all the Instagram and stuff like that. I would say just stay away from people telling me what I am, because I can tell you as a player, when I started to have success and I became an All-American, and now you read all the stuff that people are saying and all the stuff that all the All-American teams and the Heisman talk and all that stuff, what happens is you have high expectations for yourself, and you want to put up numbers. And I'll never forget, I wanted to get 20 sacks. Like, that was my number. And here's the thing. So now if I don't get it, I'm failing, and I'm putting more pressure on myself. I mean, all you have to worry about is being the best version of you every single week, studying, trying to keep everything in good perspective, and not look at down the road. I'm not saying it's easy, Dan, but you can't try to make the home run play. And listen, we saw Tua last year go bonkers, go bananas in the beginning of the season. And then you saw him late in the season, and all he wanted to do was continue to make big plays. You can't make the highlight plays all the time, and you got to be okay with checkdowns. And also, I would also tell him very assertively, when you run the football, get down. Because if you get hurt, we're screwed, okay? I would make sure that's clear, too.
And don't go after somebody if they intercept your pass. And Andrew Luck used to do that all the time, and we see where Andrew Luck is. I respect you more if you don't try to make the tackle.
That is bogus. Absolutely not. You throw an interception, you better go make up for it.
Oh, my God, David, you're crazy. All of those players.
You got to deplete somebody.
Those defensive players are just waiting to blindside him. Pretty boy.
Oh, dude, we are taught as defensive linemen, when they throw an interception, find the quarterback and drill him. And here's the thing, not just drill him, hit him on the ground and land on top of him with all of your weight.
I love that laugh there. I love that. And you're right, but that's why I'm saying if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I throw a pick, I roll over, I go into the fetal position. That's it, and just wake me up when it's over.
Bad leadership.
Yeah.
I don't like.
Yeah. Okay. What would be more surprising? The Patriots don't go to the Super Bowl, or Alabama's not playing in the national title game?
Patriots don't go to the Super Bowl. I would say I'm going to consider Alabama obviously very much in that mix, and they're the team that listen. Clemson and Alabama have proven you can go ahead and put them there, but I think Georgia's a legit stumbling block. And if you're looking at Alabama, they've already got 3 significant blows to their linebacker core. One guy transfers. Another guy tears his knee up. Another guy, the best guy, Dylan Moses, tears his knee up. So they're going to be looking at like true freshmen, true sophomore, inside linebackers at the spot where you got to communicate the most. And so I think that's something to keep an eye on. I know Alabama's going to be dominant and they're going to be very much in the mix, but the Patriots, come on, it don't matter who it is. I mean, we've seen them do it with it doesn't even matter. Tom Brady got hurt and they still made the playoffs, for God's sake. You get the GOAT with Bill Belichick, and I just think they've got it figured out better than everybody and improving it. I think I would take that bet, especially with some of the injuries, but I do expect Bama to be there too.
Give me one or two teams that'll be outliers here that we might not be looking at now, but in December, you'll come back on and say, I told you.
I think Utah is one of those teams.
Yeah, I do too.
I think, yeah, and I don't know if that's good that we all are thinking Utah. I mean, that might be a jinx for Utah, but I think they're one of those teams that has the ability to. First of all, it starts with Kyle Whittingham. He has not left Utah in all these years, and he's been really, really good for a long, long time. I mean, maximizes all of the talent that they bring in. 100% maximizes it. And this year, I would say this is the most talented team he's had. I mean, if you look last night with Moss running the football, that dude, he runs angry. Like he runs really mad and physical, and the offensive line will grow. They're young and inexperienced, but defensive line, a bunch of guys stayed for their senior years where they didn't have to, that they would have been high draft picks, and they're 8 or 9 deep on defense. They're going to have to get the kicking game worked out. You saw that was an issue last night, but yeah. I think Utah is a team that 100% at the end of the season we might be looking up and going, hey, they're in the playoff discussion because their schedule too, I think, Dan, lends it. I mean, last night was one of their biggest games of the season. It's one of the top 4 games. They play Washington State, USC, and Washington. So if they find a way to get those 4 wins, I think everybody else in their schedule they're gonna beat up pretty well. Washington's the caveat team. Listen, I think most people are going to have Clemson, Alabama, and Georgia. Like it's going to be the 3 teams that people are leaning on the most because those 3 teams are by far and away the most talented teams in college football. You go to their practices and it just looks different. I mean, they've got dudes all over the place. Their depth is unbelievable. So I think those 4 teams are going to be in the college football playoff.
Finish this sentence. If Michigan doesn't improve
against their rivals, Jim Harbaugh might be looking for a job. How about that? I mean, because Michigan played well and had great moments.
But let's say they don't beat Ohio State at Michigan this year. Is that enough for Michigan to move on from Jim Harbaugh?
No, it's not. First of all, remember, Michigan sucked before Harbaugh took over. Okay? I mean,
That's true.
They were irrelevant. Yeah, I mean, they were really, really, really bad. And now they're consistently in the top 10 towards the end of the season. They're always in the top 25. So the talent going out to the NFL has been raised to a whole nother level. The interesting thing about me, Dan, is the offense for these guys. Like Jim Harbaugh is an offensive genius. That is what he is. That is who he is. Everywhere he's been, he's always had phenomenal offenses. And, you know, he hired a new OC this year with Gaddis that comes in that's more Shea Patterson friendly and going to run more RPOs. But Don Brown has been carrying his weight. That was one of the best hires he made. And you've seen the talent on that side of the football. I think defense will probably take a little step back, but they need to find a way. Jim Harbaugh needs to find a way to get his offense back to where he had it when he had Kaepernick. His offense back when he had, you know, Stanford players with Andrew Luck and those guys that were dominant because the offense has been the weaknesses of the team. He's
David Pollack, the ESPN college football analyst. College game day in Fort Worth ahead of the Oregon-Auburn matchup. The artist formerly known as Chip Kelly and the UCLA Bruins, is this going to get worse before it gets better, or does it get better under Chip Kelly's watch?
Listen, I think if people are expecting an Oregon resurgence, I think you're wrong. I mean, I didn't think that ever would happen again with Chip Kelly regardless because, listen, it was a perfect storm in Eugene, man. He was the first one with GPS in his pads and full-time nutritionist and one of the first ones with up-tempo, and Nike was behind him with the great uniforms. And just it was a perfect storm of everything. And I just don't think he's going to have that at UCLA or anywhere else where he ever goes again. It was an awesome run for Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly's a great football coach. Chip Kelly's got to continue to get dudes and better players and take those players that maybe aren't those higher caliber guys and turn them into the Michael Jameses like he did at Oregon. But I think he's going to be really good at UCLA. When I say that, I think he's going to win 8 or 9 games. Like that's his ceiling. I never have bought in for more than that, and I'm not going to. I think Chip Kelly's a good coach, but the recruiting aspect of Chip Kelly will have to improve and have to get better guys to go against some of these better teams.
I had Lynn Swan on, the athletic director at USC, a couple of weeks ago, and I said, is there a magic number that Clay Helton can keep his job? I know that we want to connect the dots with Urban Meyer, but how does Clay Helton keep that job?
Oh, man. Clay Helton, first of all, is one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. Like, he is just a great guy and one of the great guys in coaching. But USC's culture now is so different. And when you watch their offensive, defensive lines the last couple of years, man, I'm just telling you as a former defensive lineman, it's not good. It needs the physicality and strength and aggressiveness. It needs to improve. Just think about, Dan, all the years we've covered USC and all the great quarterbacks and all the unbelievable athletes like Reggie Bush and all those guys from all that era. And now USC this year is running an air raid offense. I mean, air raid offenses were predicated on teams that had less ability to find a way to beat teams with more ability and run more plays and dink and dunk. I mean, usually the teams like USC don't have to go to those form of styles. So it's going to be interesting to watch now with a transition for them, but it's got to get better. USC cannot be a team that doesn't go to bowl games. They got to get more physical on the line of scrimmage, and they got to get more nasty to them. So I don't think there's a number, and I think ADs will always tell you the numbers game is always a little bit different, because what if I go beat 4 really, really, really good teams and then I lose to 2 really bad teams? You know, I mean, those are goods and bad, pros and cons, but it's going to have to change quickly for USC, and I don't know that it will. But the offensive, when you change your coordinators, there's nobody else to change, Dan. So changing your OC after last year, and if it doesn't get fixed this year, there's not another guy that Lynn Swan's going to go, hey, who are you going to can next? The next guy is usually the head guy.
I'll leave you with this. I'll give you're buying stock. You can buy stock in Trevor Lawrence. You can buy stock in Justin Herbert. Buy stock in Tua in the NFL.
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
I'll take Trevor Lawrence. I've never seen a kid, Dan, come into college where I said he would be the number 1 pick right now after his true freshman year. I've never seen that in my time doing this. I mean, he is the legit 6'4", 6'5", 225, and he's not Peyton Manning. And I'm saying that he's not a statue in the pocket. This guy's an athlete. I mean, he's a 4'6" type athlete. He can run, and he's got one of the most – by the way, this is going to be the stupidest comment I make all day. One of the most impressive throws I saw Trevor Lawrence make last night, he was running full speed in the first quarter to his left, full speed, and throws the ball on the run across his body, 20 yards over his wide receiver, but he threw 55 yards. And I was like, how do you do that, dude? It's like his talent, his arm talent is already better than everybody else in college football or on par. He can move. He's got touch, and he can throw guys open. Like he's got it all. Now listen, you start comparing him to Herbert. Herbert's a guy that needs to make more free throws. Okay, he misses open guys consistently with his accuracy that drives you crazy and needs to improve, needs to get better. Tua, he has a lot of those Trevor Lawrence qualities, but Tua's 6'1", 6 feet tall, and injury prone, and just not as thick and not as big. So, I mean, they're all good, but I'll take Trevor Lawrence. Don't
you want to just some days hit Herb Street?
Well, he's a quarterback. I want to hit all quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Man. Yes, of course.
Who's the last quarterback you hit?
Oh God. Let's see. Before Ben Roethlisberger, the last quarterback I sacked in a playoff game in my rookie year. Before my second year, I broke my neck. So it's Ben Roethlisberger.
And he's considerably bigger than you.
Yeah, he always was like bringing down Jared Lorenzen, man. You got to those kind of quarterbacks. You got to go for the arm so they can't throw it. Otherwise, they're going to shrug you off and make you look like a child.
David, have fun this weekend. It's always great to talk to you. We love the enthusiasm. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Dan. Have a good one, Buck.
That's David Pollack, ESPN college football analyst.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.